Hiya and welcome to this podcast, The Teen Whisperer, a podcast for mums of teenage girls who are trying their best to figure out, the whole teenager thing without completely losing the plot. I'm Rach Friedley and I help mums just like you build stronger, more connected relationships with your daughters by understanding what's really going on beneath all those, eye rolls and slam doors. Oh yeah, and by the way, I'm a mum too, so 100% I get it. Together we'll tackle the highs, the lows and everything else in between with a physiology first approach. And today's episode is a big one, especially as we're diving headfirst into the season. Oh, sorry, that's the Christmas season. Festive season, whatever you want to call it. The busy time. So let me start with a question. When was the last time you did something just for yourself? Not for your family, not for work, not for the house, but purely for you. If that question made you pause, you're not alone. I don't think I'm the only one with my hand right in the air right now. So picture this, you're racing through your, to-do list, which is reams and reams and reams, juggling work, family and everything else in between. You're exhausted, you're frazzled, and you're feeling guilty for even thinking about taking a break. Yes, you heard me correctly, feeling guilty for even thinking about taking a break. Sound familiar? Yeah. If so, stick around because this episode is just for you. We're talking about why mums need to put their own needs first, not last, as we're told time and time again, and how doing so benefits your family and your teens. So let's get into it. So let's talk about how overfunctioning affects us. It starts with those feelings, overwhelm, frustration, and sometimes even resentment. You feel like the glue holding everything together, and that pressure can manifest in you in snappy moments, exhaustion, and that constant feeling that you're running on empty or you're running around that hamster wheel. Anyone else get that feeling? Sound familiar? Yeah, that's because our feelings aren't just mental, they're physical too. Your body is giving you signals. So tight shoulders, shallow breathing, racing thoughts, not being able to sleep, anxiety, that it's time to hit pause. You might find yourself forgetting things, losing patience with your teenagers, or even questioning your ability to keep up and then feeling like a failure in the process. These are all signs that your tank is dangerously close to empty. So let me ask you now, your phone. If your phone is running out of battery, do you wait for it to hit 0% before you plug it in? Or do you give it a quick recharge when it's at like 20%? Yeah, I hear you. You give it a quick recharge. But do we do that for ourselves? No. So what's going on in your body, brain and heart during these moments? So from a physiology first perspective, as you know, that's what I'm about. Chronic stress pushes your nervous system into overdrive. Your fight or flight response kicks in. So that saber-toothed tiger that's right in front of you. I haven't seen one recently, but I don't know about you. Flooding your body with stress hormones like cortisol and adrenaline. Over time, this constant push of cortisol and adrenaline results in depleted energy reserves and leaves you feeling disconnected from yourself and from your family. And here's the kicker. Your teenagers are watching you. They're observing you 24/7. They're learning from you. They're modelling your behaviours and emotional habits. If they see you constantly running on empty to take care of everyone else, what do you think they're going to do? They're more likely to adopt those patterns themselves. But there is a better way, and there is a way of breaking these cycles. So studies show that prioritising self-care improves emotional regulation, strengthens relationships and reduces that burnout. And according to a study in the Journal of Happiness Studies, individuals who set boundaries and prioritise their own well-being report higher life satisfaction and lower stress levels. And that's something your teenager will notice too. So let me share a quick personal story, and apologies if you've already heard this. Last year on the 19th of November, it's ingrained, it's etched into my brain cell, I was painting my daughter's room with her when she asked me what I had planned for the next week. I told her my schedule and her reply was, "That's a hell of a lot on your plate, Mum." She wasn't wrong. But at the time, I felt there wasn't much I could do about it. I was juggling plans for the Teen Whisperer, I was juggling massage clients, I was planning the perfect Christmas in inverted commas and trying to meet everyone else's needs. That same afternoon, whilst walking the dog, I slipped and fell over. By 4 o'clock that afternoon, I literally had nothing left on my plate because I'd broken both bones in my wrist and dislocated my radial ulnar joint. And yes, it was my dominant hand. That moment forced me to stop and reflect. In fact, I didn't have a choice. It wasn't just the physical pain of my injury that hit me. It was the realisation that I had been ignoring all the warning signs my body had been giving me. My schedule was overloaded. My mind was constantly racing. I wasn't sleeping. I wasn't eating properly. And I was running on adrenaline just to keep up. And something had to give. Unfortunately, it was my wrist, which every year on now is still stuck in a position where hasn't got 100% mobility. So why do we, as mums, keep pushing ourselves past our limits? It often comes down to deeply ingrained beliefs about what it means to be a good mum, in inverted commas. We think we need to be everything to everyone else, putting ourselves last to make sure our families have everything they need. But here's what's really happening in our bodies when we do that. When we're constantly stressed, our bodies stay stuck in that fight or flight mode. Sounds a bit like my wrist. This means our brains are flooded with stress hormones like cortisol, which can affect everything from our mood to our ability to think clearly. And over time, this stress builds up, making us more irritable, less patient, and more likely to snap at those people we love. And yes, it's a vicious cycle. What's worse, as I've already said, our teens are watching and learning us. Whilst they see us running on empty, they internalise that message that self-worth is tied to overdoing it. They're likely to repeat the same patterns in their own lives, believing that burnout is just a natural part of being a woman. But it doesn't have to be this way. By understanding the why behind our behaviours, we can start making intentional changes for ourselves and for our families. So here are 3 small, achievable goals to help you feel more grounded and cared for this festive season. Number 1, pause to breathe. Take 30 seconds to do 1 deep inhale and exhale when you feel overwhelmed. So breathe in through the nose and breathe out through the mouth. That's it. No timers, no fuss, just 1 breath to reset. If you can, pair it with a little mantra like I am enough or I am safe. I'm giving my best. This simple practice can help you create a moment of calm in the chaos. And if it helps, put 1 hand on your belly and 1 hand on your chest and breathe into the hand on your belly. Feeling it rise as you breathe in and feeling it lower as you breathe out. And do that as many times as you need to get yourself to reset your system. Number 2, a sip of nature. Step outside for even just 1 tiny weeny minute, even if it's just to stand on your doorstep. Feel the air, blow in the hoolie, on your face and let it remind you to pause. If you have time, try walking barefoot outside. This practice, known as grounding, can help balance your nervous system and bring a sense of peace. And number 3, have a mini check-in. Before bed, write down or ask yourself, what's 1 thing I did for myself today? Recognise that teeny tiny small act of care, however small. Did you drink your tea whilst it was still hot? I am talking about tiny weeny achievements here. Did you take a 5-minute breather outside? Did you sit down and read a magazine? Celebrate each individual thing. It's not about doing more, it's about noticing the little things you already do for yourself. If you're interested in more tips, keep listening to this podcast, so hit subscribe so you'll be one of the first to hear when the new episodes are released. or follow me on Instagram or Facebook at The Teen Whisperer. And if you're looking for a community of mums navigating these same challenges, just like you, and just like this one, join the waitlist for the Mum to Mum Connection, which is a dedicated space for mums of teenagers to come together to share their journey and find support in a judgment-free zone with lots of information, lots of insights for you guys. So, let's wrap up. Let me leave you with this. Taking care of yourself is not selfish, it's essential. By prioritising your needs, you're modelling a healthy, balanced life for your teenage daughter and creating a foundation for connection and joy in your family. You're showing them it is okay to rest, to set boundaries and to say no when needed. So as you tackle the chaos, the madness, the frustration and the overwhelm of the holidays, remember, let's be proactive rather than reactive. You deserve care too, and put those boundaries in place. So thank you for tuning into the Teen Whisperer this week. Don't forget to hit subscribe and share this episode with a fellow mum who needs to hear this. And I should think that's most mums right now. Let's keep this conversation going, and I'll see you again next week. Take care. Bye-bye.